Am I the butthole for telling my friend she isn't poor? So my 17F friend, 17F, complains about being poor a lot. She's always talking about how sad she is about her family's financial state and how her parents can't afford to give them anything. Here's the thing, she lives in a very nice house in a gated community in the suburbs. Her dad drives one of those fancy self-driving Teslas. She and all of her siblings have iPhone 10s, AirPods, MacBooks, everything technological that they want. She shops at expensive stores like Urban Outfitters and Lululemon constantly, and has a ton of clothes. She and her family fly to Hawaii like twice a year. On Christmas, they always get new phones, and sometimes a trip to Disneyland or something. It's clear to me that she's not poor like she says she is, and I feel like she's either doing it for attention or being ungrateful for everything she has. Yesterday Bayan she was moaning about how sad her family is and how she wishes she could have money like some of our other friends. I confronted her and told her that she is not that poor, she is so lucky and well off compared to most of the world, and that it was both disrespectful and rude to complain about her state. She got super upset and told me I can't judge her financial state based on what she has. Am I the butthole? She got super upset and told me I can't judge her financial state based on what she has. How else do you judge someone's financial state? Is she mentally poor? Like maybe she's talking about her dad's crushing consumer debt and maybe being one paycheck away from ruin because their spending exceeds their income, but I wonder. NTA. That would be pretty sad if a 17-year-old knew all of that, but it crossed my mind too. I knew all of this about my parents very young, way too young in my opinion. I was in 3rd grade when my parents literally sat me down to help them better budget for bills. I continued to do it until I graduated high school. I hated it and it stressed me out so badly that I ended up with permanent health issues. So now I'm just as broke as they were. Just minus the huge paycheck my dad was getting. My dad spent 120%. Yeah, you read that right, of his paycheck on hookers, and so I was drinking powdered milk and eating free lunches and hamburger helper dinners. All while he raked in $200,000 per year minimum. We didn't know about hookers until after I left and my mom and he were divorced. Now being so broke even though he had a nice job makes sense. I lived that stress as a child too. My dad would buy things and we would be dodging collection calls and waiting for the repo. I'm so stressed about money all the time. My parents would ask what I wanted for Christmas, birthdays, holidays, and as far back as I can remember I would say absolutely nothing. I was pretty sensitive to the fights my parents constantly had about money. I don't know if you ever read The Rocking Horse Winner by D.H. Lawrence, but I relate to that story so much. I would have been willing to die to get out from under that constant stress. This is bringing back memories for me. I remember being stressed every day as a child about money. I would try to come up with plans for what we would do if we became homeless. I'm so sorry you had to go through that too. Oops. This comment made some memories rush back. I'm never going to put my financial troubles on my kids like my mom did to me. That is my goal also. Most people worry about money their entire adult life. I'll be damned if my daughter has to worry about it during her childhood too. NTA op they might spend beyond their means, but by most people's metrics, they are nowhere near poor. Yup, I was homeless at almost 4, so old enough to remember, and had a front row seat to my mom's poverty. Then she went back to school for a master's and by age 13 I was living in a 5-bedroom house in a well-to neighborhood. But then we lost it in the 2008 crash, so we were fairly broke again. Class whiplash. I'm back to being financially comfortable on my own as an adult, but I hoard money in lots of places because I'm so afraid it'll all crumble again. Same. It permanently effed me up. Badly. We actually were homeless at one point, lived in a tent on a campground, and yeah, I'm pretty sure some of my permanent health problems are from living under extreme financial stress, being bounced around to different foster homes and schools constantly where I wasn't sure if I'd be abused again or not, and my mom nearly dying at least twice between the age of 3 to 13. And so the house came to be haunted by the unspoken phrase, "There must be more money. There must be more money." The children could hear it all the time though nobody said it aloud. I forgot all about that short story, but The Rocking Horse Winner really bothered me when I read it. I actually read this story to my boyfriend to help him understand the stress I have with money. I've spent the last hour reading and rereading that story. Rather haunting. And I still don't even know what to make of it. Whatever feeling it is, I'm not sure I like it. Damn. I had never heard of that story before and I just read it. My parents lost all they had in a small business that went south. After owning their own home, mother's birth home, part of my dad's birth home, a summer cottage, 3 business locations, etc., my dad died in debt bigger than what their possessions were worth, and when my mom died she owned her personal and household items and was some $150,000 in debt. The situation had accumulated since '91 and I am pretty sure it took about 10 years of their life each. I feel like the boy in the story. I spent years thinking what I could do for them before I realized the $100K debt is not on me and I can do nothing about it. I was eventually able to get a place for my mom that she could have lived the rest of her life, even if it was just 3 more years eventually. I also took down their dying business when she couldn't start doing it. She died a year after that on cardiovascular disease. My net worth is around $500K, my estate would be $800-900K with life insurance, etc. I feel I need to keep on going to be on the safe side. I don't know if we will ever feel safe. I watched a bit of the Paris Hilton documentary and she says she won't settle down from constantly working because she won't feel safe. That boggled my mind. Thanks for mentioning The Rocking Horse Winner. I need to go reread it, as it's been 20 years, but I remember that it was a short story that really made an impression on me. 2 others that impacted me the same way are The Swimmer by John Cheever and Bartleby the Scrivener by Herman Melville. Also, the poem, Richard Cory by Edward Arlington Robinson, that crap really got me. ETA, aw, thanks for the silver. I'm going to look these up to read, too. Thought I'd drop the links I found so I can refer back to this post later. A couple are PDFs, FYI. Hopefully the links work. The Rocking Horse Winner. The Swimmer. Bartleby the Scrivener. Richard Cory, web link. If I had the funds to award you, I would, but I don't. Appropriate, given this whole post, I guess. So, a simple thanks will have to do, instead. I appreciate it. I remember reading and memorizing Richard Cory when I was in middle school. The library gave me a free copy of a poetry book since it was old and worn. It really stuck with me. I'll check out these other ones, thanks. My dad has the attitude we shouldn't spend what we don't have. That's why we don't even have a credit card. Every purchase, except very large ones like house or a car, comes directly out of bank balance, and if something's above our capacity, we don't even think about it. I am the same way. I also have to have a financial safety net due to my upbringing. My dad's erratic spending caused irreparable long-term damage. I stress about finances way too much. Awful dad situation aside. Was it the powdered milk that didn't dissolve in water, so you had huge chunks of it floating? Or was it the fancy grocery store stuff that, while grainy, mixed nicely with water? Rarely do I meet someone else who was so poor they also had to use powdered milk. The key to making powdered milk usable is to mix it and cut it with actual milk. Half gallon of each and it's usable. I've been poor, had to use an extension cord to the laundry room at my first app to keep my fridge on, and been broke. Everything is paid and food is in fridge but no room for extras like doctor copays or meals out. That kind of abject poverty in what I assume I'd America? The richest country in world is so sad to hear. Hope life improved. Being from the UK, I find it incredible that people consider doctor charges as extras. Actually, the whole thing of doctor charges still blows my mind. I'm American and it blows my mind too. My girlfriend wears glasses and has to pay a huge copay for optometrist visits. She has to pay to see. We have to pay for eye care, but if you're on low income it's free. Dental is heavily subsidized or free for low income. We pay a charge of about £10 for each item of medicine, but again that's free for low income. Since 2010 though, we have reintroduced the charming Victorian concept of the working poor, which are people earning too much to get state assistance but not enough to actually live on. Sounds like America. Careful there. I'm in the working poor class. Make too much to get help, but not enough to even be able to afford my specialist co-pays and co-insurance. Sounds like a much more compassionate system than the low-income aid that we have here in the States. My girlfriend is low income and still has to pay for eye and dental care, But if we're talking just in general, I still think it's absolutely nuts that people who wear glasses have to pay to be able to see it all. Medicaid pays for eye exams here but only covered glasses for under 18. Edit to add that I'm in the US. In the UK, opticians tests are free if you're on any kind of benefit, even if you work full-time and just need a little housing benefit to keep your home, and if you work with anything that might affect your vision, computer screens mostly, your employer has to pay for you to get eye tests regularly. As far as the glasses themselves, most places will have NHS glasses for about £30–45, not entirely sure how they work, but as far as I know they're really basic, but they work. It blows my mind that a so-called civilized society would make people pay unmanageable amounts to see. The NHS subsidizes the cost of the lenses and the frames are super cheap, so that's subsidized by the NHS too. If you're poor or a child, you can get them complete free. Then there's me, working full-time and paid £200 1 year with a buy one get one free offer. My girlfriend wears glasses and has to pay a huge co-pay for optometrist visits. She has to pay to see. Costco, my dude. Saves a huge chunk of change on eye care, and their pharmacies are the cheapest in my city. Pharmacies have different pricing? Yep. My parents talked incessantly about how going to the doctor was a waste of money. We got our insurance covered, once-a-year checkups, and that's all. I remember feeling so guilty and apologizing to my parents every time I had inevitable medical emergencies. I know so many stories of parents being judged for not taking their children to the doctors, and then the slow realization as a non-American that maybe they aren't insane, just socialized by poverty to think that way. So sad and pathetic in the 21st century. My husband lost his job and we lost insurance, so we managed to schedule appointments just before we lost it, but his last paycheck got delayed and we couldn't afford the co-pays and had to cancel because making sure our kids got all their visits in was top priority a couple months ago. Yeah, probably America. In Ireland we pay minuscule amounts if you haven't a medical card. With medical card it's all free. From GP visit to operation. I don't know. I feel like €60 to see a GP isn't really minuscule. Also, there is so much on the public system that's de facto inaccessible due to the waiting list that you end up paying privately for it. Plus the cost of prescriptions. It has. At the time my husband and I both made over minimum wage, him $10 per hour. And me $8.50, but I was part-time because of our son, minimum wage was $4.50. I'm comfortable enough but have crippling student debt that will likely keep me from ever owning a home or retiring. I put myself through undergrad and law school on loans, finished when my oldest was 15 and youngest 4. I grew up middle class, but got married and pregnant at 17. My kids never knew how dear some days were, but power shut off, NP were camping in the living room with a smile and made s'mores over the gas burners. My now ex-husband and I would buy the maximum of McDonald's cheeseburgers on Sunday when they were $0.29 each, so like 20 at $5. We would reheat them for lunches all week. Student debt is an absolute farce. You have my sympathy and hope that you keep fighting the good fight. Low, like 100 people have all the money and the rest of us are fighting for scraps. My mom darkly jokes about how my brother would cry when he saw an empty fridge when he was little. Now we have ranch, ketchup, and mustard. And pickles for just in case. I make more than my dad did at his first job and I get deep down nervous at the thought of going to the doctor for a problem. Once, we had an insurance issue thing through work and didn't have coverage for a couple weeks. I freaked out. So what do I do if I have to go to the ER? Just save the bills? Look at Mr. Richie Rich over here with real milk to mix in his powdered milk. That's Ms. Richie Rich to you, and WIC coupons saved us more than once. We had the crafty clumpy powdered milk too, and it got to the point where we would just put water in our malt oatmeal. We also used to eat what my mom convinced us was a special treat. Torn bread, doused in milk and sprinkled with sugar. We always had sugar, that crap was disgusting. She also bought 25-pound bags of rice, and we would eat that like cereal. Poverty sucks. Sounds like something me ex's family used to do, except it was dinner, and it was cooked pasta, with milk and sugar. He made it once, we were broke, but not that broke, and I refused to eat it on principle. I've been through poverty and homelessness. I couldn't stomach eating that kind of food when we were lucky enough to have the money and ingredients for real food. Still, it wasn't as bad as when I moved in with my first boyfriend and his family while I was pregnant. His mom regularly left to go shopping, smoke pot with her loser boyfriend, and just vanish for days at a time, leaving no food or money, and come back days later with a single loaf of bread and 2 liters of milk. I usually managed to scrounge up enough to feed everyone something while she was gone, but one weekend we were completely crap out of luck. We had 1 jar of salsa, half a bag of macaroni, and a little deli bag of shredded pizza ham, just enough to make a spaghetti monstrosity to feed his little siblings. I was sick just cooking it, and cried at having to feed those 2 kids something so inedible. Needless to say, that monster has been cut completely out of our lives, but she actually feeds her kids now. Oh, malt oatmeal. Love that stuff. Can't eat it without powdered milk anymore. Tastes weird with organic fancy pants real milk. Weren't those creative meals great? My mom's favorite to make was tuna gravy on toast. Just tuna, milk, flour, and bread. I don't drink milk at all because I couldn't do the powdered milk growing up. Because I refused to drink it, I had forgotten that part of poverty. We knew we had stepped up when my mom finally could afford to mix a gallon of real milk with powdered milk. Oh man. I hated powdered milk days. Yuck. Days when I said yes to oatmeal. Or had to put ice in my cereal so I couldn't taste that weird stale milk taste. Y'all used powdered milk? We'd just use evaporated milk and dilute it with water. What? I hope you're joking. A 16 ounces can of evaporated milk costs more than a gallon of regular milk. I stock up on it this time of year because I make so many pumpkin pies. I grew up on powdered milk, because Dad was in the Navy, and that was the only way you could guarantee your milk wasn't spoiled. I remember a friend in junior HS who had to go to the store constantly for milk. At least half the time it was spoiled new in the carton when she got it home. My parents still drink powdered milk. I'm lazy, so I buy it in the jug. I loved powdered milk. I wasn't poor though, just Alaskan, and sometimes you had powdered milk because your mom couldn't make it to the store. Lol. It was the chunky kind. NTA. It sounds like she's either looking for attention or trying to play the victim. Either way, it's incredibly self-absorbed, or I'm sure annoying, to classify herself as poor to do that when she really isn't. I mean, everyone worries about money. But to claim to be poor is really crass, and it's not unreasonable to call her out, especially when she does it repeatedly. Agreed. Next time she complains, original post should suggest she sell her phone, AirPods, and extra clothes to help her family pay the bills. Not cause friend needs to, but to reiterate that she's not poor. My idea is maybe she's actually internalizing guilt about her relative wealth and is trying to project to people that I don't have a lot. I'm just like you. It's normal. Because she doesn't know how to deal with having privilege quite yet. It's a bit moon logic, but high school is tough and clearly money is something this community takes into account. I mean, that's possible. My family isn't rich either, but definitely not poor, and I constantly feel bad for us having money or feel the need to apologize to people for it. But there's a big difference between feeling guilty/apologizing and complaining. Man, don't worry so much. That's your family's money, not yours. Yeah, it's nice to have a security blanket if they'll help you, but it's not an awful thing to have a successful family or be successful yourself. It's only awful if you fail to recognize what you have, and make other people miserable with what they don't. Sounds like you're already aware of that, so keep that, and you'll be fine. Yeah, that's what I think too. Yeah, I think so too. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.